say cardiovascular, some people say cardio. But as we look at this system with the blood, the heart, the vessels, all right, the term that you use, all right, just remember that those are the components. Because we've got the heart, we've got the vessels, we've got the blood. So up to this point, we have learned about the blood and how the blood has those formed elements. It's a combination of a mixture, a colloid, a suspension. We have all of these elements that are existing in the blood. The way that we're going to move that material, the blood, the way that we're going to move it through the body is by way of the vessels and then the pump. Our heart is known as the pump of the system. It is definitely something of interest. Like I said before, doesn't matter what led up to death. Death is the stopping of the heartbeat. When the heart stops, death ensues. The study of the heart is called cardiology. When we talk about the system, we've got the heart and the blood vessels. Blood is our material we're going to move through this system. When we say the heart is a muscular pump, do you remember what type of muscle is present?
Cardiac and smooth.
Cardiac muscle. Termed cardiac muscle for a reason. Only place we find it is the heart. The structure of it is very unique. The vessels that are going to exist off of the heart, their job is to supply the body's organs with the blood, pick up waste, and return it. The heart. And usually, if my director is here, I'll get the one from his office because he's got one that's about this big and it's really cool, all right? But his schedule and my schedule are not, you know, we're usually not here at the same time. And it's really cool because it's like this great big huge heart. But a couple of things that we're going to become familiar with. We're going to become familiar with, of course, its structure and how, now this is one of the things I find amazing about the heart. The heart has to supply blood to all these areas of the body, but the heart needs blood too. So it's a really cool system that we end up getting for this blood supply to all organs of the body, including the heart. When we look at this pump pushing the blood, we have two circuits in our body because they're closed. Okay, we have a closed circuit. So the two circuits that we have for the blood to go through, we have our pulmonary circuit. We all, I think, know that one of the things that the blood carries is oxygen. We hopefully now understand that the CO2 that gets picked up can either be picked up on the red blood cell or picked up in the blood itself. All right? So, this means that the blood that is going to return to the heart, we tend to say this is our deoxygenated blood because the oxygen has been dropped off at the tissues. However, not every red blood cell has to drop off every oxygen it is carrying. It can, but it doesn't have to. Either way, the return to the heart, the first place it's got to go from the heart is to the lungs. So blood that gets returned to the heart, the first place it has to go is the pulmonary circuit. The pulmonary circuit, when blood leaves the heart, it's from the left side. When it returns, it comes to the right side. From the right ventricle, that blood is pumped to the lungs. For the lungs, the only job, exchange of gases. Exchange the CO2 for oxygen. That's it. So, from the right side of the heart, blood goes into the lungs. We're going to see exchange across the respiratory membrane. We're going to oxygenate that blood. When the blood leaves the lungs, it comes to the left side of the heart. From the left side, we now go into our systemic circuit, the systems of the body. So our systemic circuit from the left part of the heart leaves by way of the aorta. The aorta branches, and it branches to the head, the neck, and the upper extremities, and then it begins to descend. And this begins to supply the rest of the systems of the body. Now, I had a student, she attends ODU, and over fall break, just a couple weeks ago, she was like, I really can't understand the circulation of the heart. I always get right and left confused. I explained to her, I said the easiest way to understand the circulation of the heart, put the heart in the direction it is in your body. No matter what the picture is, no matter what anatomy you are trying to learn, always put it in the direction of your body. And it becomes much easier to understand. So when we look at the heart, it sits like this in the body, with this apex portion pointing to the left. Okay? So that would mean this side, this half, is my right. This is my left. Yeah, you begin to look at it this way, and that's a little more difficult. Okay? But if you always do it this direction, it should make things a little easier. So, when we look at these two circuits, I always try to point out it leaves by way of the aorta. Aorta takes it to all the systems of my body. It then has to return. And when it returns to the right side. The right side takes it to the lungs. And from the lungs, brings it back to the heart for it to leave. Does that make sense? Okay? So as you look at this structure for these circuits, whatever has to return comes back to the right side and goes to the lungs. From the lungs, comes back to the heart and has to leave to go to the system. What do you notice about the colors they're using to signify the two circuits?
Red and blue.
Red and blue. Because we associate oxygenated blood being red, because if we cut ourselves, that's what color it comes out. And then when we look at a vein, veins look blue. Is this true in real life? No. Okay? However, it does help make a distinction when we're looking at models, when you might be dissecting something, because a lot of times companies that you buy your organism from to dissect, they'll actually inject the arteries with a red material and the veins with the blue, so you can tell the difference. So in our heart, our pulmonary circuit deals only with sending the blood to the lungs. Our systemic circuit sends it to all the organs of the body.
So it goes to the systemic first and then the pulmonary?
Now, this is the question of the chicken versus the egg, which came first. However, you're going to be discussing the flow, okay? You could discuss it as return first, systemic second. You could discuss it as systemic first, return second. So it's really, the biggest thing you want to know is, which one are you looking at? Are you looking at delivery to the tissues or return to the heart? Because it is two very different issues in the body.
So when they ask how, like, which way it flows through first, do you say it would flow right to left?
For me, and most things that you're going to read about will talk about the pulmonary circuit and then the systemic circuit. So yes, return to the right and systemic from the left. Now, something else that I learned from some of the nursing faculty, our heart, because that's really what you'll be looking into, okay, as humans, we have 4 chambers. Do not leave my class saying anything different. I have been told that students actually say there are 3 chambers. Do not leave my class saying anything other than 4. There are 4 chambers to our heart. So, the position, a term that you're going to hear, is the mediastinum, middle, okay? The middle of the thoracic cavity. Like I was saying, think of the position of your own heart. That apex goes to the left. This huge base is at this area of the middle